Steven!
Hang on, I screwed it up. Let's start it with the countdown.
Take two.
We're off to a roaring start.
Steven, was I totally wrong about the A's?
Yeah. You
Well,
A's fans just don't have any faith
you
in your
A's
team.
fans, how dare you speak of us like that?
Hang on. Let's just backtrack.
They
here.
score runs, man. They're scoring runs.
Let me look at this. Let's take a look here. All right. I'm going to Toronto. I'm going to go to the stats. I'm going to go to
4-3.
Chapman. Matt Chapman, 4 for 21 so far in the season. Wow, you miss him, huh?
It's early. It's early.
I mean, Matt Olson, I get. Matt Olson has been really good for the Braves so far. But A's fans needed to calm down. Now, Sean Manaea, I was wrong about Sean Manaea. That dude looks really good right now. He looks very comfortable. But I don't know if A's fans were wrong, but I was laughed at. Laughed at, I tell you. 70 and a half.
Laughed at, I tells you.
70 and a half, the over-under. And I took the over because the A's win games, and I'm feeling really good about that right now. But you know what? They have the Rays number. It's funny. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I know. They do the same thing by not spending a lot of money, and they win. Yeah, the A's are scoring runs. I'm a little surprised by this, and we'll see where it goes. But it's also pretty early. But I've been telling people at work that the Angels are going to finish better than the A's this year. I could be wrong though. We'll see what happens here. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm wrong.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a season-long take that everybody's going to forget about anyway. You know.
That is true. It's a long ass season.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody to Just Your Opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa, Matthew Steinmetz is going to join us at some point today, maybe a little earlier than 4:00, but we will get him in here and we will talk about the Warriors and Nuggets, a little bit about his career, and we'll talk about the Lakers show. If you've seen it or not, I have no clue, but it's good to catch up with old Steiny, right, Stephen?
Yeah, I haven't seen the newer episodes. Again, the last time we talked, the last time we talked is when I last watched it. So I caught the third episode. I think I'm 3 episodes in.
All good
so far. So we'll talk to him about that. And I also want to get his thoughts on the Timberwolves celebrating the way that they did.
Yeah, we will.
We
will go all about the play-in games and the NBA playoffs happening this weekend. A little Steph Curry update. We'll get all to it. And the return of wins or wangs. I'll give you a little double or nothing because I know you lost with your Hornets pick. Good God, sir.
Yeah, that was really bad.
They don't show up for the play-in games 2 years in a row.
I wanted to throw my mouthpiece at somebody if I had one.
You threw it at a little girl.
Who was it? Bad. You missed.
Bridges, right? Bridges?
Yeah, Miles Bridges. He missed.
He threw it at the little girl.
He was trying to hit the one guy.
Here, kid, catch my mouthpiece. It was the exact opposite of Mean Joe Green.
I mean, he went on he went on Twitter and said, like, hey, can someone find this person for me? I need to apologize. Not the guy that he was directing the mouthpiece at. Like, throwing your mouth guard at anyone is bad, Miles. But
Steph Curry just throws it at the floor.
Yeah, and accidentally hits people. Whereas Miles Bridges throws it directly. It was something out of
little girls.
Yeah.
Steven, we'll get into a lot today, but let's start off with the news that broke yesterday morning, and then yesterday being Wednesday. Derek Carr got that contract extension. He gets 3 years, 121.5, and he gets $40 million annually. The big thing is, we were not shocked by this. We were expecting a contract extension, and you could say what you want about a contract extension with Derek Carr, whether he deserves it or not. At this point in the NFL, we'll talk about Kyler Murray later, but just this is what you do. You don't let quarterbacks have lame duck years, and you give them contract extensions. And Derek Carr took the team to the playoffs, so I think he's deserving. The big thing here is the no trade clause. So every year when we have these speculatory stories about whether or not Derek Carr is staying with the Raiders, unless he said otherwise, and Derek Carr loves himself some Raiders to a fault sometimes. He said yesterday in his press conference, I'm either playing for the Raiders or I'm playing golf. He is staying with the Raiders for the foreseeable future. So, Steven, your thoughts on Derek Carr's contract?
Well, it's a prove it deal, though, isn't it?
A little bit. It's team friendly.
Because the potential out is a 1-year, $23 million deal because the deal doesn't kick in until that year. So really, he can go through this year and still play out the rest of his contract. If I'm not mistaken, this is how it's going to go, right?
I don't know exactly, but
because they have a potential out in 2023.
do they? Okay.
So
okay.
it's worth $23 or $25 million if they do that, and only 5.6 against the dead cap. So really, this is the 1 year where they're saying,
"Hey,
look
up on Sport Track myself."
Yeah, this is the 1 year where they're saying, hey, if you're good this year, hey, we'll pay you that $40 million for however long, the next 3 seasons. We'll do that. But if you don't, we're going to get rid of you. It's not going to, we're no skin off our backs. 5.6 million in dead cap. Again, it's basically 30 million to get him out if he's done with it. So it's a very team friendly deal if they're done with it. And I like his comment about how I don't want to let my best friend leave again, man. Khalil Mack. Oh man. But I'm like, who's that best friend? You talking about Hunter Renfrow? Huh? You talking about Renfrow?
He's talking about Adams.
You talking about Renfrow? Well, Adams already got the contract.
I know. But his best friend on the team now is Devontae Adams.
Yeah, well, I think Hunter Renfrow might be in a run for the money. I don't know, man.
That's true. That's true.
In the words of Steiny,
we'll see.
You never know. Can't wait to talk Giants baseball with him.
What's up?
Can't wait to talk Giants baseball with him.
Oh yeah, with Gabe Kapler breaking all the rules, baby. He's not willing to go abide by the baseball rules, the unwritten rules. He's no Tony La Russa. We'll get to that in a little bit. But Derek Carr, yeah, dude, yes, you are correct. Looking at Spotrac, there is a potential out for next season. But then they can keep him for the next 3 seasons after that. So, look, when are Raider fans going to appreciate this guy? I understand
Never.
That I know, but I understand that in the AFC West, he is by default the worst quarterback. Okay, I can admit that. But I will say that he has a lot of potential, and there's a whole reason why Josh McDaniels wanted to go coach this team and why Devontae Adams wanted to leave Aaron Rodgers and play with this guy. Say what you will about him being corny sometimes. I think Derek Carr is a very good quarterback, and I have faith in him going forward. Now, that all being said, there are expectations this season. There are no more excuses, with the exception of maybe his offensive line not blocking for him. But when you have Devontae Adams and all the guys that he had before, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, it's now time to go play to your potential, Derek Carr. You've been with the team for 8 seasons now. It's time to fulfill those expectations when you were drafted in 2014. And it's been a long time since we've had expectations like that, since 2016, 2017. And Derek broke his leg, and then he was Mr. Check Down after that. It's time to be an MVP caliber player.
The put up or shut up
yes,
deal.
It is.
That is what it is. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. They built the team around him, and I don't know if Raider fans are still feeling the same way about Derek Carr after last year than they were before. Because before this season, they weren't feeling good about him at all. Like the way that the narrative surrounding him, all that sort of stuff that you're talking about. I think Raider fans came around on Derek Carr this season, and they said, well, what happened with John Gruden, what happened with Henry Ruggs, not every quarterback can go through that. And Derek Carr was still able to put up some good numbers. Now, granted, he was still making some boneheaded plays where, he's running out of bounds before the first down marker on 3rd down. He might be throwing it away on 3rd down when Raider fans really don't like that. Fumbling at the line of scrimmage when he's trying to gain a yard. We've seen that before too. But you're absolutely right, man. And that's what this deal is telling you is, hey, he's got 1 more year. And I think that with the $40 million, doesn't that give you a little extra incentive to go out there and play as well as you've ever played? Can you imagine that? Dude, imagine being in his shoes. Hey, you go out there, you're going to be paid $40 million. $40 million for the next 2 to 3 years. $40 million. If you don't, bye-bye. You're not going to get that type of contract anywhere else, man. Like that type of incentive, I like it. I think that it gives that incentive to Derek Carr and Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler. It's like I told you from the beginning, man. It seems like they have a plan. They're not just giving this contract out to give out this contract like they
Yeah.
were previously with Derek Carr, where it's just, oh, it's the end of his rookie deal. He's been good. Let's give him a contract without thinking about any of the stipulations. This time they have a plan. And luckily, Derek Carr went along with it. It's not just, it's not just Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels. Like it's him too. He's part of the reason why they're getting this deal done as well. So I'm really looking forward to it, man. I'm stoked on it. Hey, shout out to our guy Ernie. Check this out. Yeah. Yeah, we live stream. Ernie, what's up?
Come on, Ernie. You've been late to the game for 6 months? We always live stream.
Derek, it's Ernie. Clown.
He's calling me a clown? No, his
I don't
his Twitter profile scares the crap out of me, if I remember it correctly. It used to be something scary back in the day, but he changed it. So I'm thinking the same Ernie.
I think it's it's the same Ernie. We know who we're talking to.
We know we're talking Ernie. Enjoying bathtubs, baby, with Bert. All right.
Yeah.
With Derek Carr, yeah, man, I think that this is handled way better than last time he got a contract, because that he admitted that has basically killed Khalil Mack's future with the Raiders. So if they want to keep competing in the AFC West, John Gruden did what he did. So it wasn't Derek Carr's
now that
fault.
I think about it, it's like, yeah, dude, don't blame that all on yourself, man. They could have they could have moved some things around to keep Khalil Mack on the team. So don't blame yourself all for that, Derek. But that was my best friend, man.
I know. And it ruined the team. But I'm glad that he took a more team-friendly deal, despite getting $40 million a year. And let's talk about that real quick. He joins Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, and Dak Prescott as the quarterbacks that make $40 million a year. So, do you think Derek Carr is as good as those quarterbacks?
I wouldn't say so, but again, man, talent. Like Dak Prescott, I'd compare those two. Dak Prescott's been playing with one of the best offensive lines that we've seen, not lately, but you got Tyron Smith and Zach Martin. I can't think of any other guys off that offensive line right now. I'm sure you could think of off the top of your head, you weirdo.
Well, they just cut Laleel Collins. So
they cut is it Laleel? I thought it was Lael.
Whatever.
I don't know.
I'm not as big as weirdo as you think I am.
Yes, you are. Name me the Super Bowl winner from 1977 along with the MVP.
That was the Dallas Cowboys. They beat the Denver Broncos 27-10, and it was co-MVPs between Randy White and Thomas Hollywood Henderson. Yes, I'm a weirdo, Steven.
Weirdo.
Anyway.
So I remember somebody when you were doing that. They're like, "Why don't you use that at a bar to impress some people?" You're like,
Joe Fortenbaugh.
Yeah, you're like,
yeah. And I said, no women are getting all hot and bothered by me going, "Hey guys, you want to hear some Super Bowl stats?"
Go name a Super Bowl. I dare you. I could name the winner. I can name the score. I can name the MVP.
I get it, Steven. I'm a weirdo. Let's move on.
No, you're not much of a weirdo, dude. You're good. No, I wouldn't say he's as good as those other quarterbacks. Of course not. It's very hard to be as good as those other quarterbacks. But man, when you got this much talent around you, I'm done thinking about the salary cap. I'm glad they got Derek Carr, because what other options would they have to go with? If $40 million is what it's going to take, then bam. Plus, again, he's not going to be getting paid that $40 million guaranteed unless he actually goes out and shows this season that not only are they a playoff team, but they can win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years. Like, that's what McDaniels and Ziegler want. They're not trying to rebuild a team. They're trying to win now, and I love it. Love it.
I'm with you, Steven. I just wish that Raider fans give him a chance this season. I know a lot of people were upset yesterday. I have a coworker, Josh Yago, shout out, one of my favorite editors at NFL Network. He hates Derek Carr.
Why?
Because he just doesn't like him. You name any other quarterback in football, and he will take him over Derek Carr. Yesterday he came in, and I immediately came up to him and said, "Oh, they're not trading him now, baby." And he said, "I'm going to be a Chargers fan now." That's how disgusted he is with the Derek Carr.
What team is he a fan of?
What's up?
What team is he a fan of?
the Raiders, but he also was a Rams fan. So there you go. Yeah, exactly.
LA
But
people, man.
I know, great guy though, love him to death.
Yeah, I'm sure. What's his name? Yago?
Josh Yagosh, great
Josh
guy.
Yago, my man.
Yagosh. Um, I just think Raider fans need to give Derek Carr a chance this season. But I will say, if he's not playing well, you have all the right in the world to be upset because it's time for him to produce. He's got his best buddy, his college teammate, and Devontae Adams. It's time to go do the damn thing. You got a great coach. I think this is the best coach he's ever had. Yes, he's better than Gruden. I think it's time for Derek Carr to play like an MVP.
You slipped up. He's got his best friend Hunter Renfro. It's not
Sorry.
Devontae Adams.
Sorry, my mistake.
But
Whoever he wants his best friend to be.
But it's not just what he's got on offense, man. It's the defense.
Yeah.
You got Max Crosby. You got Chandler Jones, which a lot. I feel like people kind of forgot that Chandler Jones signed with the Raiders. Like, he's a Raider.
I know that it was big for a day, and then Devontae Adams got traded. He's like, oh shit.
Yeah. And then
And I'm still expecting them to get Kyle Van Noy, and Stephon Gilmore's still out there.
What about Tyrann Mathieu? Is he still around, or is
like I said
visiting the Rams?
Last time I talked, so there was an article written in the Athletic that the Rams have been talking to Stephon Gilmore, and there's mutual interest between the Rams and Tyrann Mathieu. Do you think the Raiders need Tyrann Mathieu because safety is pretty well established with Trevon Merrick? They signed Harmon. They got Jonathan Abram. I don't know if they need Tyrann Mathieu. He would be great. Don't get me wrong. But with the money and everything right now, I don't know if they have enough. But then again, the Rams could sign Tyrann Mathieu, and they don't need him either.
You never know with a traditional defense. It's not traditional. Derek,
what's it called?
Say the 3 words with me,
I forget
Derek.
it. I'm sorry. Patrick Graham, forgive me.
Illusion of
complexity.
Complexity.
Yep.
That's what Patrick Graham is going to be running. And if Tyrann Mathieu fits into that illusion, then he will be added to the team. But I won't be shocked if he goes to the Rams. Hopefully your boy, here y'all go again. Josh Yago is going to like that one if he's a Rams fan.
Who knows what he's a fan of? He's also a Lakers and Clippers fan too.
But there has been reasons though for Carr, and it's just like anytime someone's blaming Carr, well, other stuff has happened along with the team. There's really no other reason here. The offensive line needs to be better. There's no question about it. But Carr's got so much talent around him. If you're blaming the offensive line, like we've seen what a guy with talent around him can do with the bad offensive line. He just made it to the Super Bowl. His name's Joe Burrow. So we'll see what happens here this season. I said it, Derek. I said it, damn it. I said, we'll see what happens. No shit, Steven. We'll see what happens. Cardinal sin. It's an unwritten rule. So but that's like the go-to. I mean, like in all honesty, like let's be real here. When it comes to sports talk radio, basically we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, that's all we can really do. Well, we'll see what happens. It's like a way to filibuster and get yourself to the next topic. Basically, so, it's like, hey, so the Warriors here, they're going to play the Nuggets. We'll see what happens on Saturday. Did anybody see Miles Bridges throw the mouthpiece at a girl? Like, that's my dream one day, is to host a radio show and just for 4 hours go, yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, next topic. Oh, yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe that should be a segment. Like instead of in Saturday Night Live, it's like, ooh wee. Oh, what up with that? We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Ooh wee. Yeah. Well, we'll see. But all honesty, we'll see what happens. But as I transition to the next topic, but yeah, dude, I would say the weakest part of the Raiders team right now is the offensive line, but they were good enough to get into the playoffs last season. We'll see. I mean, we still got a draft too, so we'll see what happens with that. So yeah, we'll see what happens with the draft. Can't wait. Speaking of which, we won't talk about today, but next week, Steven, we got to start getting geared up for the old draft. And I know the Raiders and Niners don't have a first round pick. But I've been scouting, baby, and I got some feelers on some of these prospects. Oh man, I can't wait to hear them. I know you're so excited, aren't you? No, just me being a weirdo, naming off Super Bowl stats and then my scouting reports and all these draft prospects. Well, you're just a football fan. I don't mean to make you feel bad, but I do want to do that with you. Feel so bad. I don't know anything about these draft picks at all that are coming up. You can guess those ones from the top 10, whoever you want. That safety from Notre Dame,
He's really good. Kyle
Aiden
Hamilton.
Hutchinson, Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm a big fan of N'Kobe Dean. I don't know why he was dropping until the Raiders traded for Devontae Adams. I wanted him to grab him with that 22nd pick. But I would love to. No, seriously, you can teach me a little bit, and it's still the draft. There's all that mystique around the draft. It's fun to watch.
I'll teach you, young one. I'll teach you.
Thank you.
Other quarterback news. So Baker Mayfield. Well, news today, Geno Smith has signed back with the Seahawks.
Thanks.
Well, to them, they'll take it because Geno got a little bit bump in pay. He's making $7 million a year for, I guess, just 1 year deal. But that would make you believe that maybe they're not going to go after Baker Mayfield now. After Baker Mayfield yesterday went on some podcast, it's like JK, whatever the fuck.
It's the YNK podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, can you imagine what if he were on this podcast and that's talking about it? They'd be like, "He's on Just Your Opinion, man. What the hell's that?"
Well, it's a popular quote from a movie, but sure. I'm sorry that was actually rude of me. What was the name of the podcast, Steven?
YNK.
And where they have a great dog just sprawled out with his balls just showing to the world. We don't know if the dog is dead or not. I'm assuming the dog's alive. Doesn't that scare the crap out of you? You have a dog. When dogs lay flat on their back and while they're sleeping and you have no clue if they're just like, whoa, hey, come on, buddy. You okay there?
No, I've never been scared with that. But whenever I'm driving by like a farm or a field, like a plain, I'm always scared whenever I see like a horse laying down or a cow or something. Like, is that horse or cow dead? But it's just sleeping. And there's someone in the car who thinks they know something about farm animals, like says, "Oh no, this is what they do all the time." I'm just kidding. That's me. But
you're talking to yourself in the car?
Yeah. No, I'm talking to myself. But no, I've never had that happen though with the dog. No. Normally I'm just that's just Ollie being Ollie.
Yeah, no, my mom's dog, Bear, which do you think it's weird that my mom named my dog after another animal?
Super question. Ernie, we'd love for you to weigh in the comments here. What's weirder, when someone names their pet with a human name or someone names their pet with another animal name?
Good question.
Bear the dog.
It's an all black dog. I wanted to name him Kahlua, but my mom went with Bear, and I thought it was kind of weird. Regardless, when
what
Bear
kind of
lays
dog?
What's up?
What kind of dog?
Black Lab.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Beautiful dog. But when he lays on his back and just does that thing like the dog was doing yesterday with Baker Mayfield, it just scares the crap out of me because I'm just like, I know he's sleeping, but looks like a dead dog.
You're weird, man.
That's what I was thinking yesterday when the dog was laying flat on his back with Baker Mayfield. I was like, is that dog okay? I give a shit about Baker Mayfield right now, but let's talk about him because he feels disrespected, and I get it. But at the same time, it's Deshaun Watson. They were good. And come on, who's not going to go after him? And yes, the whole thing was kind of greasy and slimy, whatever you want to say about it. But Baker, you didn't play well last season. You played with a torn labrum, and you cost the team wins because you refused to sit. And then he suggests that he's going to go to Seattle if it happens, but he has no clue. I don't know if he's going to Seattle. Now we move on to the next topic real quick. Kyler Murray, he's causing him more of a stink. And I could see Baker Mayfield going to Arizona now to back him up because he needs a team.
What kind of voice was that?
That's just me being exacerbated. No, hold on. And Tom Pelissero reports that the Cardinals, the Eric Burkhead, the agent of Kyler Murray, has rescinded their offer from the Arizona Cardinals, and they do not plan to report to OTAs if they do not get a new contract.
So he's holding out of his contract now.
Sure.
Good Lord. I mean, I'm sure Derek Carr's contract helped with that. I think that, Jesse weighing in here at the YouTube Live. You can catch us on Twitch, YouTube, or no, not Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, or whatever. Another animal for sure, super weird. And then Ernie, another animal name.
Thanks to the two people that are watching the stream.
Thank you to the two people. Yep, that's what we got. Matt Steinmetz coming up. Hopefully the stream grows by a couple. But yeah, I don't. Baker is a tough one for me. I've wanted to back him up for a while. I think he was a misunderstood person. I think a lot of people were talking down on him just because he's, got a little smirk to him, got a little, he's just like, I'm feeling kind of dangerous right now. Got a little cockiness to him. But it is Deshaun Watson. But I get that because it's just, hey, all I've done is put my body on the line for you. Granted, it might have been to the detriment of the team, but now you're going to go and get a quarterback who was facing 22 civil suits, and
Yeah.
you're just going to give up on me. And I've never done anything wrong except for maybe make too many commercials. I could see why he'd be feeling disrespected in that regard. Sure, Deshaun Watson is a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield, but he has done some things in his life, at least allegedly, that are pretty despicable, in which
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield has not done that. And by all accounts, I know that, they're saying that they wanted an adult in the room, but really, you'd sign Deshaun Watson. Like, come on. So, the guy who would not look at reporters and just keep his hood on whenever all this stuff happened and he was going into practice. So I can understand it, but in the end, Baker Mayfield, just not that good of a quarterback. Pretty interesting what's going to see what happens with him. We'll see what happens.
We will see what happens. Yeah, we'll hold tight and see what happens. No, I honestly don't know what's going to happen because after Geno Smith was signed today, I'm not so sure the Seahawks are in need of another quarterback, and they may draft one. So I don't know what's going to happen there. And Kyler Murray, dude, you haven't played well enough to get a new contract. If he's expecting to get $40 million too, no chance, no chance. Go play baseball then. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I agree with you. He should have played baseball if this is how he's going to act. But really, as an A's fan, would you want this on your team?
No, no, because he would want a new contract, and that's not going to happen with the A's.
Because he'd be sitting there for like 6 years in pre-arbitration, and then he'd be like, "Where's my money at, man?" So,
yeah, we'll see what happens with that as Derek Carr gets in. Yeah, we will. We definitely will see. Derek Carr gets a new contract. Baker Mayfield looking for a new team, and Kyler Murray looking for a new contract himself. Real quick, Steven, I saw this also.
Yeah.
With the Raiders yesterday, and I want to know if you think this is a good thing or a bad thing. I forget who was being interviewed, but someone said that Josh McDaniels is not trying to make the Raiders like the Patriot way. And while that some people will say that's a positive because there's a lot of people that bag on Belichick. He drove Brady out of New England. I don't believe that. Then Gronk goes on Jimmy Kimmel and says that the Patriots would never think to get him his incentives if there was a bonus in the last game of the season. I've heard that's not the case. The Patriots do give their players the opportunity to do that. Do you think it'd be a bad thing if Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler are trying to do things the Patriot way? Because the Patriot way wins.
Sure, but that's a tough one because there's a fine line there. When I think of the Patriot way, I think of to the extreme, they're like soldiers where they're totally in line. There's no goofing around. And I think Tom Brady was a big part of that. But the problem under Gruden's tenure was, I forgot who said it. Man, who was it? Was it Nelson Aguilar who went out and called out the team in the locker room after that Dolphins game?
I think so.
Because Arden Key, face mask, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and all of that. And it was Aguilar who went into the locker room and just talked about the lack of commitment from the team. And maybe that had to do with John Gruden. So if the Patriot way means that you're going to have these younger guys committed to working their ass off every single day, which is what the Patriot way was all about, then yeah. But there are some aspects of the Patriot way which you don't like, which is just there's no fun to be had at all. And that's not how you get these younger players to respond anymore. Like going back to Man in the Arena, going back to that episode with Mike Vrabel.
We're still waiting on that last episode, aren't we?
Are we? Oh God.
I'm not waiting for it. We'll wait and see if it comes out.
We'll see what happens. But when I'm thinking about like Mike Vrabel and Teddy Bruschi and their what was it? Oh, I'm trying to remember what it was called. It was their way of like getting the edge. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, I got an edge on you. You're showing up late. I got an edge on you. That kind of thing. If there's that, then that's fine. But there's other examples of the Patriot way, which just doesn't make it that much of a destination. So you got to mix it in. You know what I mean? You got to mix
Yeah.
in that Patriot way along with the new wave of football that the younger players respond to.
Yeah. And, Josh McDaniels, I think, has learned his lesson from the last time when he was a head coach with the Denver Broncos, where he was kind of more of a hard ass and he, was filming. That's pretty much what led to his downfall. He was doing the Patriot way with the Denver Broncos, but the negative stuff. I see what you're saying, Steven.
Yeah, good point. Spygate and
Yeah.
all of that. Yeah.
And you hear some players say that it's not fun to play for the Patriots. Others are like, I like to win. So, if that means we're not having fun, then I think championships are fun. I just think that, when you say we're not going to do things the Patriot way, that has like a negative connotation to it. But honestly, like, I think they are. They're trying to win now. If the Patriot way is trying to win now and go all for it and not giving a fuck about the Chiefs or anybody else that's going to stand in your way, then I say go with the Patriot way.
I think they just want to separate themselves too
Yeah.
from New England and prove that, hey, it's Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. Those are the two guys that everybody talks about when it comes to the Patriots' success. Well, what about me, who's been working closely with Tom Brady as an offensive coordinator? What about me, Dave Ziegler, who's been working closely with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and everyone else within the front office and making decisions that no one even knows about? I think that's also the case there, too. They just want to separate themselves from their past, which everyone connects them to, rightfully so, because that was their team. But they want to create their new Raider way, I guess.
The Raider way. And honestly, like, yeah, I appreciate that. I think that
please don't be the Raider way of, the past 20 years where you're just aimless and dysfunctional and
no,
you just suck.
No,
for lack
I
of
think
a better term.
I think it's going to be better. I think that their offense is going to play like the Patriots, where Tom Brady loved throwing to running backs, and every single running back on the team right now can catch a pass. It's Josh Jacobs, Kenyon Drake, who's the other guy, Bolden.
Brandon Bolden. Yeah.
Brandon Bolden. And then I want to say they signed somebody else too. They got 4 running backs.
Jakob Johnson is their fullback.
Yes. So
remember, it's Jakob. Remember
Jakob. Mm-hmm. And they got a 2 tight end set with Waller and Foster Moreau. They're going to look like the Patriots offensively. I just, in the culture and the organization, it may not be the Patriot way, but I think they're going to resemble the Patriots in the style of their play.
You're also not going to have a murderer in your huddle. So there's that too.
You're talking about Ruggs?
No, I'm talking about Aaron Hernandez.
Oh, yes.
Nah, not Ruggs.
And Amir Abdullah. Thank you, Aram. Amir Abdullah could catch passes too. I doubt all 4 of those running backs make the roster, but they got a nice little squad going there.
They do.
We'll see what happens with the offensive line. There we go again. We'll see what happens. But yeah, man. Patriot way, Raider way. Things are looking better for the Raiders.
Right. Yeah. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. And if it really was a case where if they didn't have Derek Carr, then where would they go next?
Yep.
And then
Jimmy Garoppolo.
And if Jimmy were on this team, I would not be feeling the same way.
What about Cam Newton? Josh McDaniels knows him.
Well, yeah, but then Cam. Oh, God.
Yeah, he's going to expect all the players' wives to cook him dinner.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, do we really need Cam Newton? Good
we
Lord.
Don't. No, we don't need Cam Newton.
Remember that I told you, dude, when he came back with the Panthers and he went to the camera and he said,
"We're back.
I'm back." I'm like, yeah,
back.
wait till you fumble the football and turn it over in crunch time, and then you're going to be really back. And then just barely.
I don't think we're seeing Cam Newton play football again.
No, he's getting canceled right now.
Did you come up with that?
Yeah.
Nicely done. I
haven't seen it, surprisingly. Like, come on, world.
Come on, world.
Right there. It's on a platter for you.
Some other quick NFL news. When you trade away Devontae Adams, there's only one guy you replace him with, Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins goes to the Packers. Good luck with that one.
Even though I think $4 million,
he's making $4 million. He's always hurt. He's not the same guy he ever was. Remember he was drafted right before Khalil Mack.
Yes, 4th overall, right?
Yep, 4th overall. He was expected to be this amazing wide receiver, and at times he has been. He's flashed here or there. He's still young. He's only 28, actually. He feels like he's been in the league for so long. I think he'd be like 30 or something,
I was in
but
my
he's not.
American cinema class watching the just watching that draft go down. I had my laptop out, but I had just like the live draft going on.
Oh
So
God, I would have
Sam
went nuts.
Yeah, so I saw Sammy Watson wasn't taken. I was like, "All right, good. We're good." And,
Yeah,
yeah, then Khalil Mack, and we all know what happened with that.
we do. I remember. God, I graduated college. I think days before that draft. That was a good time. It was a good time.
What a time.
But yeah, Sammy Watkins goes to the Packers. I'm assuming they're going to make some other moves there. They can't just play with Sammy Watkins as their number one wide receiver. And AJ Green goes back to the Cardinals. So we'll see if Kyler Murray's throwing passes to him. Let's move over to baseball real quick before we get Matt Steinmetz on with us. So, Steven, I'm at NFL Network yesterday when we have baseball on while we're working. And it's fun to see Clayton Kershaw deal for 7 innings, and he's looking great. First game he's pitched since what was his injury last year?
Oh gosh, I think it was a back injury.
Whatever it was, he obviously missed the postseason run, and they probably could have used him, but they had Scherzer, so no excuses. But he comes back from his first start in a long time. He looks great. He's pitching a perfect game. And then Dave Roberts pulls him in the 8th. And
Hang on, real quick. He was on the 60-day DL with an elbow, and then the 10-day in October with a forearm. So
that's right.
It wasn't the back. He had a back injury back in 2020. So whoopsie.
So I understand that it's a new day and age in baseball, and he's coming back from an injury, and it's a long ass season. But as a baseball fan, I know you probably don't care for Kershaw. But what did you think when that happened? When that went down? When Dave Roberts pulls his player from a perfect game?
Well, first off, I like Kershaw. I know he's a Jesse just trying to get this web gems
baby.
But Clayton Kershaw, I know he's a Dodger, but I've always respected him. He was never the Yasiel Puig type where he's trying to show your team up. And I've always respected how good he was because he is one of the greatest left-handed pitchers that we've ever seen. Like Clayton Kershaw, fantastic. And you know what? When you had the Dodgers playing in the World Series, didn't want to see the Dodgers winning at all. But if I had one little, silver lining there for the Dodgers, it's like, okay, Clayton Kershaw can win a championship. That's cool. But and I get where everyone's coming from because, I think a large popularity think that it was the right move because he's coming off an injury. We saw this with Sean Manaea already. Sean Manaea was going perfect, and they took him out of the game. So
what was this?
Or was he going perfect? He was doing damn well. Hang on one second. Let me pull that. It was the first game of the season when he had a perfect game, and I think actually he gave up a hit. But still, they took him out as soon as he gave up the hit. So I understand why, but I also understand why fans want to see him go all the way because it would have been the 24th perfect game of all time. And I think that, there's a difference between having or what the fans want and what's the right decision. I don't fault any fan who wanted to see him go the full perfect game. I mean, go for it, man. And it would certainly be the first one on opening day. At least the first game pitched on the season for him. I think that would be it. If they're out of the 23 perfect games, I can't imagine that any of those happened on their first starts. So I get it, but I also understand why people would have wanted to see that happen because baseball, man, when you see someone's got a perfect game through 6 innings, you immediately tune into that. You want to watch if he pitches that perfect game. And we didn't get that chance, and he backed it up. Will Smith, the catcher, he backed it up. Dave Roberts, he backed it up. Everyone was okay with the decision. So if they're okay with it, fine. But I can't fault any fan just for wanting to see a perfect game.
No, I mean, in hindsight, it's probably the right move, and it's a smart move. You're playing the long season here. You want Kershaw healthy. It's a new day and age in baseball. We see guys get pulled from potential no hitters too, and it just the fact that it would have been so special. It would have been iconic for him to come back in his first game in a long time to pitch a perfect game. It would have led Sports Center when you're trying to compete with basketball and NFL offseason news. Just baseball struggling right now. Obviously, Shohei is the big, ticket, but when Kershaw pitches, everybody watches, especially when he's pitching well. So would it have helped baseball? Absolutely. But and what would have been amazing to watch as fans? Yeah, I was into it. I was really enjoying it. But I totally get it. It's also the smart move. But sometimes as fans, we are fanatical. We are unreasonable. We have expectations. This is why radio exists, sports radio exists, so we can just scream into our microphones to no one. But it uh yeah, it was a smart move. It's we're trying to win a World Series here.
But why or when he was taken out, he didn't fight it. He just said, "Yeah, this is what we need for the betterment of the team." He didn't fight for it, like
And I
Logan
commend him for
Webb
that.
yesterday. Yes, exactly. That's why Dodger fans love him, because he's an unselfish player. Nobody likes a selfish player. But if he would have been selfish in that situation, would have understood it.
Yeah.
Like Logan Webb yesterday threw 8 innings against the Padres, and he told Andrew Bailey, like, "Hey man, if I'm cruising, like, keep me in that game."
Yeah.
And he says that the goal isn't to have a complete game. That's never the goal. He wants to go 6 or 7 strong. But if he's rolling, just keep him in the game. And he hasn't reached 100 pitches either. You're not going to see that anymore. So, I'm thinking that with Kershaw, if he would have said something and said, "Hey, leave me in," then I think Dave
Yeah.
Roberts would have let him. But
Maybe.
he didn't wish for it. He didn't wish for it. And I'm whatever. I'm indifferent about it. I don't really care anymore. And I think that when we say like Shohei is the only star, like, no way. If anyone,
No. He's not the only star, but he has the biggest appeal in baseball
for
right
sure. But I mean, Vladdy Guerrero Jr. is right
Yeah,
up
of
there.
course.
This dude hit the 3rd home run with it's like a version of the bloody sock game with Kurt Schilling. He had a bloody hand. He had to get it stitched up. He's on my fantasy team. He was day to day. I was really nervous, but he's okay. But man, they got a lot of young studs out there. So I'm excited, man, for this season. And I hate that people think that, just because the 3 true outcomes are involved, that it's like a dying sport. But in reality, they got just as many young stars as any of these other sports do. They are right up there. They were in this weird holding pattern once a lot of these guys started to retire, and the Miguel Cabrera started to become older, Albert Pujols and that. Bryce Harper was really the young stud, but now they got plenty of other guys out there that are fun to watch on every single team. So, baseball to me is no longer a boring sport nor a dying sport. It's just because people are saying it is, and they just don't want to give it a chance. And that's bothering me, Derek.
Speak on it, man.
It bothers me. I mean, even the A's. I know the A's got rid of their players, but they got some fun young players. Like Christian Pache, fun guy. Sean Murphy. Nobody knew he had the doink that he had.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that real quick. His badonkadonk just saved him.
Junk in the trunk, man.
Oh yeah, but nice little booty bump from Sean Murphy.
Do you see any of the memes that came out with that?
No, I wish more people posted stuff. No, what are some?
Well, I didn't see any. Like there was one where it was they had the slow-mo close up of him getting hit in the butt, and somebody put like the Taco Bell as soon as it hit it. Time for Taco Bell. Or like they, a lot of people put music with it and stuff. And Ernie says here, shout out to our guy Ernie. With analytics, will we see this happen more often? Yeah,
probably.
And it's a frustrating thing in the sport, no doubt. But as far as star power and young talent, which we love to see in sports, baseball's got plenty of it. So I think that's the reason why why people should watch baseball and give it another chance if maybe they'd gone off it.
So back to something we brought up earlier in the podcast, Gabe Kapler, when he said we're not doing the old school unwritten rules of baseball this season, was this prompted by something? Because I heard that Bo Mel and him got kind of into it the other night. I don't know what it's in reference to.
You don't see any of these details, huh?
Nah.
Derek. So the Giants took a very early lead. They were pouncing on Yu Darvish. I think they gave up, or they scored 6 runs in the first inning. Like they batted through the order in the first inning. They were just popping off. Then in the second inning, it didn't stop. And eventually, because they scored a run in the they scored the run in the top of the second. So by the time the bottom second came around, it was a 6-1 game, and they eventually made it a 10-1 game. And Steven Duggar stole second. So that was number one.
Oh, okay.
That actually led to what happened with the third base coach Mike Schilt and the first base coach Antoine Richardson, with all the racial undertones of him saying, "Hey, come get that." I don't even want to say the words, just mother effer, just come get him. And Antoine thought it was had racial undertones to it. They talked it out the next day. They're all good. But what happened in the sixth inning? It was when they were up. I want to say it was what was it? Was it 11-2? It was 11-2. It was the sixth inning. Mauricio Dubon bunts. Now the infield's playing back. Like, they're not thinking that it's going to be a bunt. So they tried to beat that strategy and they bunted, and he went for a bunt single. And if you look at the photos, Matt Williams, not happy. Bob Melvin, not happy. They're staring at Dubon. Eric Hosmer had some words with him. So that was the unwritten rule. And then later on in the game, it was a 13-2 game at the end. You had the position player, Will Myers, going out to pitch on the mound, and Jock Peterson and Wilmer Flores went back-to-back, and nobody batted an eye. So it was, pun intended. So it was the bunt single that was the unwritten rule that had him pissed.
All righty. Well, I would say that I kind of agree with Gabe Kapler there.
This is the creepiest little wave that Matt Steinmetz has given us behind.
I know. We'll get him on here in a second, but I'm kind of in agreement with Gabe Kapler in that while I do enjoy Tony La Russa and his old school ways, I do also agree like we're supposed to be like Juwan Howard and just if you don't do the written rules of whatever sport, you get slapped.
Well, Juwan Howard, I understand, because he just had some words with him and he got pissed and, didn't even complain about it. Sure. But also I understood that one. I think it's a totally different conversation than unwritten rules. But nevertheless, we need to bring on Mr. Matt Steinmetz.
Oh, we will. Ladies and gentlemen, used to cover the Warriors back in the day. Well, what's the matter? What?
Sorry, there was something on my computer going crazy. Let me bring him on. All right, we're good.
Okay.
Sorry. One of my links that I had open started playing a random video. I can't help it sometimes.
Steven, can you now look at porn when I'm trying to introduce the guest?
I can't help it, man.
Used to be the Warriors reporter, now hosts Steiny and Guru. He's on right now, 95.7 The Game. You can listen to him every day. He's fixing his hair. He's a huge Blink-182 fan. It's Matt Steinmetz.
Yes.
What's going on, guys?
What's going on, Steiny?
I just heard a couple things you were saying.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, that I couldn't stand what Juwan Howard did, but I looked at it 5 times. The Wisconsin coach got a little handsy.
Okay.
He did that thing where he kind of puts his hand and he pushes you a little more than you want to be pushed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was just pitching for a fight. No,
okay.
I wanted to see what that assistant coach said, because the assistant coach got the player pissed off too, and then Juwan kind of followed up with it. So I wanted to know what the assistant coach said. Never heard anything from that assistant coach.
That's true.
I mean, I just saw the Wisconsin coach kind of put his hands on the side of Juwan Howard's waist, and that can always escalate a situation.
So what you're saying is, Matt Steinmetz, is that you are pro Juwan Howard and Will Smith.
Oh, no, that's not what I'm saying. No, I'm just saying I probably would have smacked the guy's hand away from me.
Yeah.
Juwan Howard. Will Smith, no excuse. No.
But 10 years? A 10-year ban?
It's fair.
Really?
Yeah, or maybe lifetime even. Come on, you can't push somebody in the middle or slap somebody in the middle of a award show.
Yeah.
I think he'd be okay with it, to be honest. It's like, would you really want to go to the Oscars again? It's like a 4-hour sit-down event where it's just,
No, but
I'll go to the after party.
Yeah, but I was telling my friend now, like this is now Will Smith's time to be like the most hardcore rapper and just say, F you to everybody and just like, yeah, you think I'm this bad guy? Come on.
See, if I'm Will Smith, I lay low for a while. That's what I do.
You're from Philly. Have you talked to anybody in Philly of how they think of Will Smith now?
Well, and this always brings up an interesting point. So you guys are from the West Coast, both of you.
Yes. Yes.
So I'll allow you guys to say you're from Philly because, you guys are 3,000 miles away. But
Are
if
you
guys
saying
were
Will Smith is not from Philly?
I'm not really from Philly. I'm from outside
Oh,
Philadelphia, about 40 minutes away, Reading, Pennsylvania, where basketball is beautiful. But anyway, but yeah, for the purpose of this show, I'll say I was kind of from Philly. But I would never, like if I ever met a guy or say, hey, where you from? And they said, I'm from Philly. Where are you from? I wouldn't say I'm from Philly too. I'd say, yeah, I'm from Reading. And they'd be like, oof, what was that like?
It'd be the same thing as me saying like, hey, I'm from San Francisco. No, I'm from Fremont. Like that's not San Francisco.
That's fair.
You know?
Okay. Then all being said, Matt Steinmetz is from Reading, Steven's from Fremont, I'm from Danville.
You guys are more but you guys can say you're from the Bay Area. I don't even think I can say I'm from the Philly. Well, maybe. Yeah, it's close. It's close. About 40. Well, Danville to San Francisco can sometimes be 45 minutes.
That could be an hour.
Exactly.
Good.
Yeah, it's kind of nearby Philly.
All right.
Yeah, Pennsylvania, born and raised.
I didn't talk to anybody about Will Smith.
Okay. So, Steiny, you love basketball. What are you thinking about these playing games? You like the playing games or you think it's too much?
At first I didn't like it. It's like you got two choices at this point. You can hate it, but it's going to be around, or you can try to live with it and it's going to be around. So, I thought the Minnesota Clippers game was really good. I thought the Hawks Charlotte game was okay.
That was terrible.
Yeah, but I have a rooting interest for the Hawks, but the other two games.
Travis Schlenk, shout him out.
Exactly. So
he watches.
I mean, you got to put up with it, I guess. It's a gimmick, but I do like the way they set it up, where they give the two higher seeds 2 cracks at it, and the lower seeds got to win 2. I kind of like that, but no, in general. And I do kind of like the fact that there were games all week.
Yeah.
Whereas if it were just regular, there would be that break between Wednesday and Sunday, maybe like 3 or 4 days. But no, not like kind of no need for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not going anywhere now.
I think the Eastern Conference is a good representation of why they'd want it, because the Hornets and the Hawks, I mean, you could see either of those teams making it into the playoffs if they stay consistent throughout the season. Whereas in the Western Conference, it's like, really, we got to Spurs and Pelicans. We got to watch a Spurs Pelicans game. Just keep the Clippers and the Timberwolves in there anyway. But
Spurs were 34 and 48. Come on,
terrible.
Popovich didn't even look like he wanted to be there last night. He's like, I'd rather just end the season and go sip wine somewhere.
You know that he actually got a Coach of the Year vote. Monty Williams won, and then there were other guys got a vote. Udoka got a vote.
Is that official?
Spoelstra got a vote. Yeah.
Wait, sorry.
Somebody voted for Greg Popovich.
We're talking AP NBA Coach of the Year?
Yeah, I think so. Let me check it right now. Monty.
Dude, wait, you think Monty Williams is deserving of that after the team went to the finals the year ago?
I mean, they won 65 games?
I know, but I would give it to Udoka or Eric Spoelstra or Finch, guys that turn their teams around.
This was the Coaches Association.
Oh, okay.
So I think you're right. It wasn't the official NBA award.
You had me nervous, man. I just did like a little radio hit with Denver, and I was acting like, there's still a chance like Nikola Jokic wins MVP. So I was hoping like nothing's official there with any of that.
Yes. Okay. So this was different. Yeah, you're right. This was this polls the 30 head coaches. So they have their own award among the coaches, and the league will announce the NBA Coach of the Year winner later in the playoffs. That's based on media. So you're right.
Got it.
Okay. It's interesting.
Who, back in your time when you were covering the Warriors, outside of the Warriors, like who was your favorite coach to interact with? Was it Popovich, or was there any other coach who was out there that you liked to interact with?
I loved Flip Saunders in Minnesota.
Ooh, yeah.
He was just a really good guy. Popovich, I don't know. I always thought he's mean-spirited, to tell you the truth. It's kind of funny, but it's kind of not if you're on the other end of it. Always liked Rick Adelman. Got to see him, obviously, in Sacramento. He was a coach of the Warriors. I always thought that Rick Adelman was like a grown up, like no games, just talk to you like a regular person. And they would happen at the game tonight. He would try to tell you. And I don't know. I always liked Adelman. Trying to think who else. And I love Spoelstra because like he came up through the ranks. And at first I was like, who's this pretty boy? This pretty boy, Eric Spoelstra, this little Riley clone. And, I think he's a really good coach. I think he's great strategy. And clearly, like, the veterans, for the most part, like, respect him. So Spoelstra's up there for me.
So, Steiny, would you say that you were critical of Steph Curry early in his career?
Yeah, I would say relatively speaking, yes. But that also is in contrast to living in the Bay Area where he's kind of overvalued maybe, or,
okay.
I mean, people love Steph Curry. Like that's the one. I mean, no, that is like the one thing is like, he is Montana now. He is Jerry Rice. He's, Bonds, but likable. But yeah, early in his career, I didn't like back when he came into the league. He wasn't a point guard. He wasn't a shooting guard. And that kind of mattered back then. You wanted like a true point guard who could get everybody involved, score when he had to, or a two guard that would score. And he was not either. But what he did over the course of his career was kind of make that not important. Like he became the new type of player that could score. And like, he didn't need to be a true point guard. But then he took it further with basically being able to play 1 and 2. Like it used to be like a tweener used to be a negative. It used to have a negative connotation. Like Draymond Green came into the league as a tweener. Why? Well, he's too small theoretically to guard power forwards, the 6'10" guys. But he wasn't quick enough to guard the 6'5" small forwards. So he goes in the second round, and then he gets to the NBA, and what you realize is he's strong enough and smart enough to guard 4s, and he's quick enough to guard 3s. So now he's actually a defensive advantage at both places. Same with Curry on the offensive end. Like, I just think the thing that there's never been a player like Curry who's a point guard, but is just as good playing off the ball. Just the way, like he's Reggie Miller, but Reggie Miller didn't play point guard.
Yeah.
So I've come around on him a little bit. Mm-hmm.
No, well, that was my point, was that despite your early criticism of him, you guys have maintained a fantastic relationship. Anytime I've seen you guys in the same room together, he looks out for you to go talk to you. And you just wrapped up a great interview a week ago where you guys talked about LeBron wanting to play with him, and he was like, I don't know about that. How have you guys maintained a good relationship despite the fact that you have been critical of him? Is it just the fact that he has taken that in stride, or just he likes you?
I think he's taken it in stride, but like a lot of it's just luck. So like when Curry came to the Warriors in 2009, like I was on the beat. I was there every day. But even though Steph Curry was a high draft pick, the team stunk. And like they weren't really covered by the media. Like they are today. It's not even close. So like I saw him relatively every day for 2 or 3 years. And I talked to him every day for 2 or 3 years. And then I kind of drifted away because I got out of the newspaper business and then went to a little TV and started drifting a little further. And then I did radio. So I wasn't going to all the practices. But like I just happened to be there at the very beginning. And at the very beginning, it was a mess. I mean, he didn't want to come here. He got drafted by, at the time, probably the worst franchise in the NBA. In fact, I was talking to Evan, my producer, today, and we were talking about how Curry wanted to go to New York. And he's like, man, why would he want to go to New York? And I said, well, at that time, New York wasn't as bad, the perception, as it is now. Golden State was New York, or the Clippers back in the day. So when he came to the Warriors, he came into a mess. And I was just like, by that point, I'd been doing it for 10 years. So Steph Curry, nice, another rookie coming down here. I've seen them all, and I'm going to be here longer than he'll be here. And so, you build the relationship with a guy for 2 or 3 years, then it kind of never goes away. You know what I mean? And so over the years, I've always seen him a couple times, and we always laugh about it now. And even the first thing I said, because he would always say, what was it again? Like, what was your problem or whatever? And I was like, you weren't a true point guard. And now, and it's like, you know what? I was right. Like, he's not Bob Cousy, but that like, there were no, how do I want to put this? He was a true point guard. He wasn't a true point guard, but what he was so much better than a true point guard, because he was like a point guard who could shoot, who could move off the ball. And there just weren't a lot of players like him. And I just, back then he was kind of a tweener. And I was like, well, he's too small to play two. Can he really play one? Because he's not the fastest guy in the world, but he did what Draymond did. They both did the same thing. They became an advantage at both positions, especially Steph offensively. And then there's just been nobody that's ever shot the ball like him. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not even close. Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, Larry Bird. Yeah, but nobody shot threes off the dribble like Steph Curry. Mm-hmm. It had never kind of been tried, believe it or not. Now, Mahmoud, Abdul Rauf, he had a little of that in him, but nobody would fiddle-faddle with the ball, get a screen, and take a 28-footer. It was mostly catch and shoot, or maybe stuff in transition where you walked into one off a pass. But nobody was really coming off screens. Like, back when Curry played, I don't remember even talking about, well, are you going to go over or under the screen? You just went under, because nobody shot from 26 feet. So now, the fact that he shot it so well, now all of a sudden you got to guard him 30 feet from the basket. And no NBA player can really be guarded that far from the basket, because now they'll drive by you.
Right.
And the whole foundation of his game has, to me, always been his ability to put the ball in the basket from 30 feet out, because that means, like I always said this, Steph Curry could stand at the hash mark, just stand there, and he'd have to be guarded. You'd have to have kind of somebody in his vicinity, because you know what? He'll probably make 5 out of 10 from the hash mark if he's open.
Right.
So you could put him at the hash mark and never give him the ball. Guess what? You're still playing 4-on-4, because somebody's going to have to stay next to him even though he's not moving anywhere. Like, those are the things that he did that were just unheard of back then.
That's fascinating to me. What's just watching the listeners, watching people on social media, the way they react to you, because it's almost like whenever you criticize Steph Curry, it's never Steph that takes it personal. It's like the Warrior fans that take it personal way more than him. And I know you brush it off and you're just whatever, you're speaking your mind. But speaking of Steph and, the time when he wanted to go to the Knicks, the part of the reason being, as his parents revealed, was that they didn't even know where Golden State was. Like, they didn't know it was in the Bay Area, which is always great. But at the same time, some people here in the Bay Area didn't even know Golden State, didn't even know the Warriors played in Oakland. They had no clue that they just played right across the street from the Coliseum. So with you being around the team for so long, like, when was that shift in fandom where it's like, okay, the Warriors, they have that fan base now? Now, it was always inclusive there within, because that's how Oakland fans are, but like where it became a Bay Area wide thing, was it like 2013 when they won the playoff series against the Nuggets?
That's a good question, because like the one thing I remember when I was covering the team, so I covered the team from like 95 to through when Steph got here. Mm-hmm. And I was traveling with the Warriors at that point, and I swear to God, 25 times in 10 years I'd get into a cab. Hey, where are you coming from? coming from, California. What are you here for? I'm here for a game. What game? The Knicks against the Golden State Warriors. Where is Golden State? Never failed. Never failed. And I'd be like, San Francisco Bay Area. And they'd be like, oh, okay. Never heard of them. Like almost never heard of them. Of course, they weren't huge sports fans. But so then, like even We Believe was just such a regional thing. If you like,
yeah,
just a barely acute story outside the Bay Area. So I think what happened was the first year the Warriors kind of broke through and they beat Denver. And then they gave San Antonio, they were 2-2 with San Antonio.
Right.
And in fact, they like in game 1 against San Antonio, they blew a 25-point lead.
Yep.
They lost the game, and everyone's like, oh God, they're done now because and then they won the next game in San Antonio, and then they split. And that's when he started to be like, they got something going here because these guys are pretty young and they're playing different. And then the next year, they're kind of playing different. Not like they were shooting for 3-pointers. And that's when Mark Jackson was like greatest shooters ever.
Right.
Well, they were at the time. Nobody knew it. And then and then they lost to the Clippers in the first round, which was a really good series, actually. And they got exposed in a couple areas. But like, remember that series, like you realized, man, Blake Griffin, like Draymond Green can guard Blake Griffin. He's can guard him. And then when Kerr came, then they changed the offense and they just acknowledged that like those first few years, I remember talking to Dickinson a lot about like, don't these other teams get it? Like if you're on defense back in the day, the 3-point line, that's where you would pick up a play. Like you look down at the 3-point line, and you'd be like, okay, I'm at the 3-point line, so I'm going to stand about here, and now I'm going to guard somebody and Steph Curry would shoot from 5 feet beyond. And it happened time and time and time again. And I remember thinking to Dickinson, it's like, are these fucking guys not even scouted? Does nobody scout the Warriors? I'm like, he shoots from 5 feet beyond. But it was such a it was so different. And then along with Clay, who could kind of do it too, pretty much, it's like nobody had ever gone that far out on the floor to defend against a shot. It just wasn't. It was like, Meadowlark Lemon shooting half-court hook shots. Like it went against every basketball instinct a defender had to go out and contest a 28-footer.
Yeah.
So then, like for a few years, he was still getting contested 28-footers or whatever. And it's now come full circle to he's got to be doubled out there. Like, trust me, the first few years of the Warriors, when they were really, their first championship year and their second 73-win year, like they were not being guarded at all like they're being guarded now. So the offense with the 3-point shot was so far ahead of the defense back then, the Warriors had a monumental advantage. And they still have an advantage, but defenses have just gotten better. And, like now you do the best you can against Curry, for example.
So you mentioned that you've been on the Warriors beat. You've been off it, but you were covering them back in '95. And around that time.
You know how old I was at that time, Steiny?
16.
I was 2.
16.
Yeah, I guess you think that's funny, I guess.
Yes, it is. Okay.
All right. Fair enough. 2 years old, really?
Yeah. I was 4. So while you were old and doing that, there was a huge story that broke, and you broke it. It was Latrell Sprewell strangling PJ Carlesimo. And I was thinking about how that story would be today if that was broken by Woj or Shams, or if it was even just like a local beat writer. How would, like, we all know the story and you got into it before, but how would you think that story would go down today?
Well, that's a great question. So they had a practice in the afternoon, and I'll say it was over at 1:00 in the afternoon. We go in, PJ's all cut up. He says no comment and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And just something was fishy. So the afternoon goes by, and by God, man, back then it's like, I don't even know if I had every player's number but I do remember going to the parking lot where you shouldn't have gone. And I saw some people and they were just like, something happened. There's no doubt something happened. And then I remember AOL Instant Messenger.
Oh,
Name.
nice. Yeah.
How could you remember that? You were 2. But anyway, they used to have AOL Instant Messenger, and I had a guy, a player who, was on there, and I got on there. Now it's like mid to late afternoon, and I remember thinking, like, I didn't have all the details, but I was like, can you believe what happened at practice today? And they were like, yeah, unbelievable. And then I got more and more information. The way it would come down now, I mean, somebody would have texted Woj right after practice, I think.
Yeah.
A player, I don't know if a coach from that team would have done it, but it would have gotten out less than a half hour after the practice was over.
Or even the video surfacing.
Exactly. The funny thing I heard about that, and I'd love to find this out, but even back then they would tape all the practices.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they've got a tape of that day somewhere. Somebody's got a tape of that day, because they used to just have a camera up there. It was unattended, but they turn it on because it could see everything. You didn't get a lot of great detail, but you could see a couple, like a quart and a half. And, it was like kind of funny because, I would write a story about that, and somebody'd be like, it's not exactly the way it went down. It was kind of, and you'd find out, well, Al Attles, he was there.
Mm-hmm.
He was sitting watching practice like he always was, But Al Attles is never going to tell you anything. Al was going to be old school. But now Woj would, I think, get a text from somebody.
Yeah,
for sure. Hell, Sprewell might have texted him because Sprewell hated Carlissimo and probably was like, you know what, hey, Woj, I just choked out the coach. I can't stand him.
Yeah.
No, Sprewell would have sat down with Rachel Nichols after the practice and said, I strangled him. If Rachel Nichols still has a job, but
Yeah.
Exactly. It's funny because Sprewell was like, that whole year was so different. They had practiced down at training camp in San Jose. And back then, the media day wasn't even a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was media day, and Sprewell left after the practice. They practiced in media day. And then the next day, he left again. And I remember Julie Marvel, who used to be the PR director of the Warriors.
Yeah.
I said the next day, I was like, hey, because he was the best player on the team. I'm like, can I get Spree tomorrow, please? He's taking off, whatever. Yeah. Next day, she goes, Spree says he's not talking to the media this year. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, he's just. So after that practice, he was stretching, getting ready to leave. And I'm like, Spree, what's up? And he goes, nope, not talking this year. And I'm like, what? I've been there 3 years. I was like, what are you talking about? You're not talking about this year. You're not talking. He goes, no, but keep my mouth shut. Just play. And I was like, Spree. So he ended up talking to me for about 10 minutes about why he wasn't going to talk to the media. And the reason he wasn't going to talk to the media was that there were already stories circulating over the summer that there was going to be an issue between Spree and Carlissimo, because Carlissimo was brought down here to, wreck shop and be the disciplinarian. And so even then, I remember him saying, listen, I just want to play ball this year. Everybody's talking about already me and Carlissimo not getting along. I don't even know the guy, this, that, and the other thing. It's just basketball this year. So then I wrote a story about Spreewell's not talking. It's all about basketball. And he didn't talk the rest of that year publicly before the actual choking, which was December 7th. So that means basically for 5 weeks, because let's say the season starts November 1st, he didn't talk for the first 5 weeks of that season. Then the incident, and then that's when a few days later, he was the whole team was behind him at the press conference, and Johnny Cochran. It just went crazy.
Do you remember that feeling though when you were gonna send that story with whatever the process was, like that final, hey, I'm gonna send this? Like, was it just because everyone thinks that Woj and Schefter are like just straight robots that will report anything, and there might be a sense of that, but I'm sure there's also a sense of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm about to send this. Like, what was that feeling like? I mean, was it a sense of okay, here we go, or was it like, what was that like?
I had a great story. I had details in the story, and the story was written from 1 o'clock to like 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Okay. So at 8 o'clock at night, I had it locked in, but there's no internet. Like there was there wire services, but you don't post it. So at 8 o'clock, I figured, you know what? It's getting kind of late now. Now I'm going to call Chris Cohan, the owner. I couldn't get a hold of him. So I called their legal counsel, a guy named Robin Baggett at that point. And so I'm like, hey, Robin, I want to talk to you a minute. He goes, yeah, what's up? I'm like, I about practice today. He goes, yeah, he said, we're going to have a press conference tonight. And I'm like, why? And he goes, well, there's some stuff out there that, we want to make sure to get this right. And I'm like, there's nothing out there. There's nothing out there. I have what's out there. Like I have it. Like nobody's got. He's like, yeah, but we're going to take this. We got to get this out there, right? We got to deal with it tonight. So they called a press conference for 9 p.m. And so at that point, I'm like, with my boss thinking, okay, so at 9 p.m. they're going to acknowledge that something happened at this practice. That Sprewell's been like, so it's like I'm not going to have. But I'm thinking, but they're not going to have all the details in. So at 9 o'clock, when the press conference started, we sent out my story over the wire services at that point. And at that point, we said, the Warriors have called the press conference at 9 to go over the situation. Well, what ended up happening, believe it or not, and I know a couple of people did this, is press conference starts at 9. They have people talking, and they're not really talking. They called it a physical altercation. That's all they said. Well, now my story's on the wire, and it's talking about how Sprewell choked Carlissimo, left the arena, then came back to try it again. Remember, because he choked him. Mm-hmm. Then he went up to St. Jean's office and said, get me out of here. Get me out. And then he went back to choke him again or to punch him. And he threw punches the second time. So I had all that stuff in the story.
Yeah.
Well, now it's 9:30, 10 o'clock. And other guys who have to write the story are just reading my story now and kind of taking stuff from my story and putting it in theirs. And then they had everything I had the next morning when it came out. So I kind of got hosed, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
A 9 p.m. press conference.
Yeah.
That's one thing today, too, where reporters will be like, no, I'll Skype. I'm not coming to that.
Well, that was the other thing. Just having a 9 p.m. press conference put everybody's antenna up. Like, what the hell is going on? So Peter Vesey also had something. He had this hoop du jour.
Yep.
It was a fax. Like he would send out faxes to teams of his stories, along with the stories he would have in the post. So he definitely had something too the next day, and he had some good stuff in his too.
Just real quick, Sonny, how much time you got? So I know we don't keep
10
it too
minutes.
long. 10 minutes? Okay. A few more questions, then we'll get you out of here. Real quick, have you been watching Winning Time?
Yes.
What do you think? You are a basketball junkie. You know what's not accurate. Does it bother you that there's so many liberties taken in the show?
No, that was my era. Like that is my era. I love the Celtics. I love Bird. I watched everything that was available at that time. So that was a height of my watching basketball and love and passion and all that. So, okay, they're having the show Winning Time. Well, at first I was like, I'm not really like, because they had been 30 for 30 on the Celtics Lakers rivalry. It was 3 parts. It was well done. And I'm like, well, do I really want to watch a documentary again, seeing the same footage of Bird and Magic? Because I've seen it all.
You said the exact same thing about The Last Dance when we asked you about it. Steiny, what'd you think of The Last Dance? And you're like, I already know what happens.
I didn't know all of what happened, but I kind of could, it was just, well, of course, Jordan's going to say that.
Right.
Start watching the first one, and right off the bat, they have the grainy footage from like the late 70s. And it's like, you just knew right away that, oh, this isn't a documentary at all.
Yeah.
In fact, it's just everything's exaggerated. Yes. Everything is just over the top, but there's enough kernel of truth that it's just like you are watching something for the first time. And like, I don't think I'm brave. Raymond Ritter said that Jerry West is really, really not happy, like really, really bummed out.
Right. And
I get that, but like everybody's portrayed, like Norm Nixon's portrayed like a jerk, and it's his son. It's his son playing him. Exactly. And who was it?
Pat Riley.
Pat Riley's kind of goofy in that, and even like Phil Knight, like they got this nerdy guy. I don't know. And so, to me, once you realize it's fiction, I am completely entertained. Like I don't think I laughed harder than when the scene where Jerry West threw his MVP trophy out the window of his office, and it was the second time.
Yeah.
And then they showed him gluing it together in a later scene, and I was like, this is unbelievable. They're going to show him throwing this trophy all season long. And it's like, well, you know what? Like, okay, like Jerry West is renowned for his competitiveness. He just is. Jerry West couldn't watch games in person because he's like, Jerry West has an autobiography called My Charmed and Tormented Life. Mm-hmm. He has never come to terms with the fact that, he won one title and it didn't fulfill him, just like Durant in a way. Like he does use profanity. He does use the F word a lot. And he just like, okay, like I don't think that tarnishes his legacy.
But what about him laying on the floor in his tighty whities where he can't figure out how to get the team together?
I don't know. I mean, I hear what you're saying. And I heard Bob Ryan of the Boston Globe saying, the worry is that some people might be gullible and think this is really the way it is. Well, it's like, well, if you're gullible about it, then you're not really a sports fan anyway. And I don't know. I think it's more harmless than people think. But then again, I'll be honest, like I'm not Jerry West. So, but I'm going to watch it.
No, it's very entertaining.
I think so too. I think it's well done. I think it's like, it's really good cinema. Like it's campy, it's like campy. I don't know. The guys don't look like the guys, but they look enough like the guys. I think it's very well done.
My brother texted me about it and he's like, oh my God, is that the little daughter from Field of Dreams who's playing that mean assistant who's like, a jerk? And I was like, yeah. And Adrian Brody playing Pat Riley. Like Adrian Brody, that's a weird choice. Pat Riley.
Incredible.
Yeah. But who is your favorite character in that one though? Like who do you think is the
Jerry West?
Jerry West is the best one.
I mean, he's just it's incredible. Like
he sounds like him. He definitely looks and sounds like him.
Jason Clarke is the perfect casting.
Yeah, the hair is really good. Like I didn't know, and I'm not sure it's true. It seemed like the way they portrayed it was like Jerry West wasn't a big Magic fan early. Mm-hmm. Like he didn't like because I want my point guards to be like, okay, I don't know if that's true or not. It doesn't matter. Jerry West is still the man. Like Jerry West, he's still the man. And if somebody says, he wasn't crazy about Magic till okay, that's
right.
Well, let's, he's an idiot then. No, everybody gets, and I don't know if that's the way he felt about him or not.
Apparently he did. He was torn between Sidney Moncrief.
Oh, that's right.
He wanted Sidney Moncrief instead of Magic Johnson because he was a true point guard.
Well, I mean, in truth, Magic's a little like Steph.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody different, but like Yeah, the idea of a 6'9" point guard was just preposterous back then. It was preposterous. Like nobody would have ever thought it. Like nobody would have thought, like, yeah, it's great in theory, but nobody thought like, well, he'll be able to bring the ball up and handle pressure and run an offense, and that. But he did. So like, I completely understand why anybody would have been like there was no guarantee that it was a sure thing. Now it is easy because you see the greatness of him, but it was weird at the time.
Yeah. Well, Steiny, we know you got to run, so we'll get you out on this. What are your just early thoughts on Warriors and Nuggets, the series that's going to happen? And what do you think is the perfect lineup going into the playoffs with Steph coming back? We assume he's coming back. Would you have Steph, Clay, and Jordan Poole on the floor together in your starting lineup?
Maybe not my starting lineup, but I think their best lineup is going to be Steph, Poole, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond. And it's not like the thing about their Hamptons lineup or their small lineup in their great years, that lineup was perfect. It was perfect. This lineup's not perfect because to me, you have Clay, Steph, Poole, and Wiggins. To me, those are 4 scorers. Well, guess what? They're not all going to score, but at least Wiggins can be productive if he only takes 10 shots. So that's why I think Wiggins is in their best. Like if Iguodala is Wiggins, well, now you have 2 non-scorers. Mm-hmm. You have Draymond and Iguodala. So now you're like, man, we might not be able to score. If you go with Looney, Draymond, well, now you're good on defense, but you still have 2 non-scorers. Wiggins at least is a pretty good defensive player. So you have the good mix of both. But like the one guy I think is going to play more than people think is Otto Porter. Like I think Otto Porter is going to play a lot.
Yeah.
And I think people want Kuminga to play, but Porter's going to get most of the minutes because Kerr defense is important to him. It really is. And that's one of the reasons he still likes Wiggins. So I think that's their best. I think that's going to be their best 5. And to me, and I know Warrior fans probably don't like that. They don't know what's going to happen in the postseason. But for me, it's like it makes this postseason better than anything since their first title. The first 2 years they got to the second, but like this year, let's see. Can they do it?
Because of expectations?
I don't know.
Yeah. We're talking so much about Looney playing all 82 games, which is a fantastic accomplishment. But the fact that Otto Porter is still playing toward the end of the season and playing into the postseason, I mean, you say all you want about whatever he does on the court, but I think he exceeded the expectation of what the Warriors got from him. I mean, he barely played any full seasons at all.
Here's the other thing about Porter. If you look at his stats, he's been in the postseason. I think he's got 30-plus postseason games. He was on a couple Washington teams that won a round or 2.
Yeah.
So you look like, to me, Wiggins has played 5 playoff games. Poole's never played the postseason. Kuminga never. Moody never. Bielitsa was with the Heat. He played like 2 games. Bielitsa essentially has never played in the postseason.
Oh, boy.
Who am I missing? There's one other guy who hasn't played much. But anyway, so Porter has the experience.
GP2?
GP2's never played in the postseason. Damian Lee's never played in the postseason.
Yep.
People think he did. He's never played in the postseason, never played a minute. So Porter's outside Iguodala, Porter's got experience, and I think that's why Curry's going to go to him.
Okay, yes or no, Steiny, before we let you go. Is Steiny's song selections the most annoying segment that was ever produced for you as a host?
Sexy. Steiny's sexy song selections.
That's why it bothered me. If it just would have been songs, yes.
Oh, stop it.
No, sexy, I was too sensitive.
Because you exude sexiness, Steiny. Come on.
All right, see, that's where you're losing me. That's where you're losing me.
One more question. Okay. Yes or no, are you still big a fan of Chubby Cox?
See, now I have to do this. Chubby Cox played at USF with Quentin Daly and those guys. He transferred from Villanova. I can't even remember which way he went, but yes.
No, he's a great man. He's a great man. I'm just a child.
Derek hasn't changed. He called me Stevie Dix last episode.
It's a good nickname. What you think?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well,
Nice guy,
Steiny,
Steven. Don't try to take it from him.
well, yeah, we came
my
up with that
guy.
nickname, but sure, okay.
That's my guy.
All right, Steiny. Real quick, do you think the Warriors are going to beat the Nuggets in the series?
I do. I think the
Okay.
Warriors beat the Nuggets, and then I'm not. You know what? Here's my call. Minnesota may beat Memphis. How about
I
that?
like that one.
Yeah.
I like
How
that one a
about
lot.
Yeah.
They're going to win a couple games. They're either going to beat them, win a couple games, or there's going to be about 4 fights in the series.
Ooh.
Agreed.
Definitely.
And Pat Beverly, if they win one game, he's just going to act like they won a championship again.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
didn't
going Pat Bev, Dylan Brooks is the first fight to break out in that.
That's
Ooh,
not a
that's a
bad
good
call.
one. That's a good
Not a
one.
bad call.
All right,
All right,
Steiny, thank you for joining us, man.
All right, guys.
All right.
Have a
Thanks,
good
man.
one.
Later, man.
Oh, he's the best.
All right.
Oh, nice. And I didn't have to do the thing where we kick him from the studio because it gives you that option. I don't like doing that. It feels weird. Yeah.
I was going to ask him if we had more time. What's a song that represents the Warriors season? Like Steiny sexy song selections.
Oh my God.
He hated that.
I
You
know
what?
he did.
Well, initially he went along with it and was like, all right, if you come up with these segments and they're creative as hell, but like, what am I doing? Steiny sexy song selections, Jesus.
Yeah.
And then after a while, he was like, I'm not doing these anymore. I'm not stepping down to your buffoonery. And the best, if you don't know, there was one time where he was on. I don't know why I felt I could do this back then, but he was hosting the Damon Bruce's show Drive Time with Guru, and then for whatever reason, I just barge in and turn the mic on and say, "What's up, guys?" Because they hit like a lull, and they were like, yeah, come on, Derek, come in and talk to us for a little bit. So I came in, and I'm not sure they even said come in here, but I took it upon myself to come in, and Steiny was going off about Chubby Cox. So I kept asking him about Chubby Cox, and then he put 2 and 2 together that I'm a child, and he goes, you are just like a 14-year-old kid, okay? I'm talking about a man. I'm talking about a real basketball player, and you want to make fun of his name. How dare you?
Yep, that's you. That is you. I mean, you got to be
and
careful
I ain't
around
changing,
you, man.
Steven.
No, you got to be
changing.
careful. I mean, I mean, we still got one of our favorite Steiny drops is I showed you my big tip, right?
Alexander Scott sent me something last night because he knew he was coming on. There's like a with the Who's Eminence Front. You probably heard it before.
Yeah.
Where it's just him saying a bunch. No, not the song.
Oh,
but they play Eminence Front in the background while Steiny is saying all these sexual innuendos, and it is hilarious.
really?
I think Alexander Scott or Alon put that together, and it is fantastic. I'll send it to you later. But yeah, Matt Steinmetz, always great talking.
He's the best, man. And it's crazy when I see Warrior fans like kind of going off on him, just for trying to speak the truth and not agreeing with every single opinion that Warrior fans have.
Yeah.
And then it's Steiny did this, Steiny did that, and then he goes out and has that interview with Steph, which is one of the best interviews that Steph's ever done. And then I think people realize, oh, this guy's got some cachet. Like, he's not just some dude from the East Coast who is just here on the air just because he's, good on the air. No, it's not that. This dude's been around for a while, and I think people lose sight of that.
I did enjoy, though, when they went to Rakuten when they were still at Oracle, and they talked to Steph, and then Steph got hurt. Everyone was after Matt Steinmetz after that. Do you remember that?
When?
Oh, God, what playoff run was it? Was it 2018? Whatever it was, Steiny and Guru went to – oh, no, it was just Steiny. He sat down with Steph, and it was a great interview. And I think the next game, Steph got hurt. And, yeah, it must have been 2018 because he came back for the Pelican series. So that's when he hurt his knee. And everybody was like, it's because of Matt Steinmetz. You should never put in the same room as Steph Curry.
It's crazy. Fans will find anything, man. But speaking of that Timberwolves Clippers game, though, it was very entertaining. It was a lot of fun. Pat Bev going off. Anthony Edwards, he's a star that's growing right in front of our eyes. A #1 overall pick who, people had some doubts, but also they didn't know what was going to happen with the Timberwolves. Karl Anthony Towns deciding to not play like a big man. God. I was shocked that the Timberwolves even won that game.
He's got to be smarter, man. Come on, you can't get 7 fouls like that. So I was sorry, 6
fouls out with 6 minutes left. Like, come on, man. Yeah.
Yeah, God, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah. It's just
But
so.
who needs a cat when you got an ant?
Yeah.
A big old ant.
Good one, dog. So, I don't know. I tried. Coming up with some sort of other animal.
Back to
Gosh.
Baker Mayfield's dog.
Yeah, back to Baker Mayfield's dog, who we think is okay.
Dog's alive.
What'd you think though? Because I got
A Pat
frustrated.
Beverly's celebration.
Yeah, man. It's like I'm like, what are you?
Okay.
What's the matter
Well,
with all of you who just
yeah.
are going after these people for celebrating something? Like,
Okay.
my God.
Well, okay. So just to recap all the playing games, no surprise that KD and Kyrie can turn it on and just put up great numbers. And the Cavs had a great season. They may survive tomorrow, but the fact that the Nets are in the play-in game as a 7 seed, I think they're going to cause massive problems going forward for the Eastern Conference.
Could
We'll
be
get to that
getting Ben Simmons back.
Which I don't think that's a smart idea because he hasn't been on the court with them at all. And you're just going to throw him out there, and he's a brand new player. It's not like he's ever been on the Nets before. I would just shut him down and see what they could do this season as a 7 seed. But to the Timberwolves and Clippers game, great game, probably the best of the playing games. Not probably, it was.
No doubt it was, for sure.
Okay, so yes. Well, first off, there was that double tech that got rescinded because they didn't want to throw Morris out of the game.
You talking about the one where Pat Bev was like,
yeah,
slapping at his wrist?
Yeah, but have we ever rescinded a tech before on the court? How many times has Draymond got that opportunity? Never.
I was wondering when this was going to come because I saw you tweet about it, and most of the time when you tweet out a take, it's what you're going to talk about on the podcast.
That's why I don't tweet anymore because I just save it for the podcast. But I was pissed in that moment. I was like, he's not going to get thrown out of this game just because they're going to review that? When have they ever reviewed techs before? Regardless, it's the playoff. Shit happens.
Yeah.
Okay, Patrick Beverley. That guy, you know what? I will admit that when he was on the Rockets, I hated him because he always got someone hurt on the Warriors. And I even referred to him on the radio against my better judgment as a punk-ass bitch. But I have grown to appreciate him because he's a great defensive player and he's a nuisance. He's kind of like Draymond. The game's very different. But if he's on your team, you love him. If he's not on your team, you get annoyed by him. It's his former team. It's the Clippers. The Timberwolves haven't won jack shit in quite some time. It was a little much, but I understand it.
Can you blame him? Can you blame him?
No, I can't blame him. But also, I thought it was hilarious when TNT came back and they started playing "We Are the Champions." Like that, it was a little much. It was a little much.
Sure, but let them celebrate. Let them have their fun.
Yeah.
That series with the Grizzlies is going to be fantastic,
and they have the Grizzlies number.
Give me a close eye on that one, and then watching Pat Bev try and guard Ja, try and guard Dylan Brooks, and all those guys. Hell, I mean, you might even see a time when he's guarding JJJ, Jaren Jackson Jr.
And Pat Bev did not want to be on that team. He was initially traded to the Grizzlies and said, "Get me out of here."
Yeah. That's what I liked about these playoffs or these play-in games. At the very least, I to be honest with you, didn't watch a second of Spurs Pelicans. Like I just had zero interest in it.
I had it on, and they're going to be a good team if Zion chooses to come back and be a Pelican with CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram. They're going to be a solid team.
Yeah, but there was also no intrigue with that game to me.
Yeah,
and then you had the Hawks and the Hornets, but the Hornets were just. I mean, they were so.
They're not ready to play.
They were just so jittery. They're like just a bunch of young guys hacking up shots. It's like, man, be patient, play your game. Like they just weren't playing that brand of Hornets basketball, which was, they play good defense. They get points in transition. Their half court offense was terrible, but in those first two games, there was some intrigue there. I mean, with the connection of Karis LeVert with the Cavs and the Nets, Karis LeVert playing with the Cavs, of course, the Nets, his old team, and really. When they blew things up with the Nets and they added Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, Karis LeVert, he was a damn good player when they were that magical 8 seed that the Nets were when Kenny Atkinson was their head coach, along with D'Angelo Russell and that squad with Brooklyn. And Karis LeVert was a big part of that. So I thought that was cool watching him face his former team. Then the Clippers and the Timberwolves, you just knew there was going to be fireworks somewhere. But let them celebrate, man. Been since 2020. It's been since 2004 since they won a playoff series.
Yep.
Haven't been since 2018 when they faced the Rockets in the first round and lost. I think it was 4 games to 1. So, man, I don't know. Good for them. Good for the T-Wolves.
And it's fun. It's fun. I mean, like, I kind of like the week off for all the playoff teams. They're not in the playing game, kind of getting a mini bye.
Yeah.
So I think the playing game is fun. I just don't. I hate the fact that we see teams that are so below 500 competing for a playoff spot. But
You
is what it is.
you see Patrick Beverly's little Instagram post
Where he,
where he's got fined $30,000
yeah.
for it
What
today?
do you say about the Clippers?
Oh
Also,
man.
I don't like it. Guys can't say curse words on their own free time.
Well, all right. Let's play this here.
You got the clip.
I'm gonna pull it up. I think I got it. Yeah, I'm gonna go to Ball is
We
Life.
say Clippers ain't shit or whatever he said.
Yeah, hang on. Let me get it here and make sure that we're good. I think that's the layout that I want. Okay, here we go.
I hope so.
Share the screen. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen with you. Hopefully
Share the
it doesn't
screen.
pull. Hopefully it doesn't pull up the. You know what I'm talking about.
The
What was
porn you
playing
were
the,
watching.
yeah. Hopefully it doesn't bring that up. All right, here we go. And got the volume up. We're all good. All right, Patrick Beverly from Instagram.
Yeah, what I say in the beginning of the year, what I say? Hey, we're going to the playoffs.
Oh,
Check that goal off now, folks. Yeah, check that goal off. Bad boys.
Cat, shut up.
Nobody believe me. Weak ass Clippers. Beat they motherfucking ass. Fuck out of here.
All right.
I want to just
did a bad job. Whatever, sending an apology. I don't know, whatever he's doing.
No, it's fine.
But it's too bad they didn't.
Cat showing up, fouling out, being like, "Yeah, get out of here."
Someone posted the photo of Klay Thompson after the finals, or was it a conference championship? Was it after
what happened?
Was it game 5 of the Cavs series where he's just, or game 4 where they swept them and he's got like 11 points. He was 2 of 7 shooting or something like that. And he's got his arm on the bench and he's just smiling. You know, it's like when you complete the group project, or when you get an A on the group project but didn't do anything, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. One of my favorite Klay post-game playoff moments was when he thought they shot better in a game. And he goes, "Yeah, we did. We shot at like 50% tonight. Nope. Oh, 15%. Oh, that's bad. That's real bad." He like was looking at like the box score and he had read the wrong thing. I'm looking forward to the Warriors in the playoffs again, man. I'm really looking forward to this Warriors Nuggets series. It happens on Saturday night, 5:30. And the latest with Steph Curry is that he went through scrimmage today. He looked good, and all indications are he's going to play. So I'll ask you the same question that I asked Matt Steinmetz, Stephen. What is your dream lineup for Game 1 versus the Nuggets?
What are you talking about? Starting lineup?
Yes. Do you think that the Warriors should go with Poole in the starting lineup?
No.
Or hear me out. This isn't the first time this has been done, but this is first game at Chase Center as a playoff game, and I'm sure they wanted to start him. Do you bring Steph Curry off the bench?
No, I don't think you're going to bring Steph Curry off the bench. He strikes fear into Nuggets and Nuggets fans. I don't know if you noticed that little drop in. I was like, yeah, I just did that hit with Denver radio.
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah. But
I'm giving you your 15 seconds of fame, buddy.
Yeah. It's not even real fame. It's like whatever. I'm very glad they brought me on. But they said that they don't know anything really about the Warriors except for Steph Curry. Like Nuggets fans don't know who Jordan Poole is. So
what podcast did you go on the podcast that Baker Mayfield was on?
I know, right? They don't know who Jordan Poole is. Like they don't know anything about this team besides Steph, Klay, and Dre. So if you're starting them in the starting 5 where it's, the normal Steph, Klay, Wiggins, Dre, and Kevon Looney, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But just because you start doesn't mean you're going to be getting 35 minutes a game. I don't see Kevon Looney getting more than 20 minutes in any of these games. I know he's got to guard Jokic.
Yeah,
but that's
somebody's
tough,
got
man.
to.
That's tough, man. That's really tough. And I could see a closing lineup where you're not involving Steph Curry. You're going to have Klay. I think you're going to have JP on the floor. Then you have GP2. And then you have, Andrew Wiggins and Draymond Green. Or maybe a version where you bring in Otto Porter there. I don't know. So I think there's going to be a lot of different rotations thrown out. It's very unpredictable. But I think the starting 5 is just going to go your regular starting 5. Steph, Klay, Dre, Wiggins, Looney, and then eventually you start working things around. You maybe take Looney out, move Draymond to the 5, and move Wiggins to the 4, and bring in Jordan Poole to play along with Steph and Klay. I think you're going to see that a lot. That lineup is just so deadly, and I don't I don't buy into the fact that people think, well, it doesn't have enough experience. I don't trust it. I do. I saw it enough. Like as soon as they got on the court, I mean,
Yeah.
defenses aren't going to know what to do. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for it, man. Really am. But that's who I think it would be at the starting five. Who do you, Derek, think should be in the starting five?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Stephen. I think that you are correct. For game one, at least, you go with that traditional lineup and you have Jordan Poole come off the bench. However, if they are down in a series, I wouldn't put it past Steve Kerr to do the new death lineup, and you have the 3 guards starting. I just don't know who you start between Andrew Wiggins and Andre Iguodala because you need more size. So, and regardless of any situation, if you're doing a fancy lineup, Draymond's playing the 5. It's just a toss-up between Wiggins or Iguodala in my book.
Right. Yeah, I see that happening too. And I think Steiner made a great point about Otto Porter Jr. Like we didn't even. I'm actually going to talk about that tomorrow because
Like, steal that?
Well, not steal the fact that Otto Porter Jr. is going to be the X factor. No,
stealing.
but that Otto Porter Jr. made it to the postseason. I don't think anybody expected that from the beginning of the year. I know that Kevon Looney was one of 5 guys to play all 82 games, which is wild to me. But man, we didn't give enough credit for actually playing throughout the entire season. I'm gonna do the thing here. I'm gonna share the screen again because I want to show you something. This is why I'm looking forward to these 2 games at Chase Center to start out. Because let me pull it up. Where are you? Here we go. So if you notice here, I got road teams. These are road teams. These are their win percentages on the road. The Nuggets are 25-16 on the road. They are not a good home team. They're a very good road team. They're not a good home team. Whereas the Warriors are fantastic. So I'm going to pull this up, all locations, and we talk about them at home. Well, the Warriors.
I think you're just showing off that you figured out this NBA.com thing where you can figure out all these stats and you just like to show this off.
Teaching you a little something here.
Teach me.
Yeah, I'm also teaching you a little. I'm doing the unwritten rules of radio here. This is how we really look up our deep stats. We don't know all these off the top of our head and like have a
no shit, really?
Yeah, don't have a notepad and pen, like writing all these down.
Damn, you and Gabe Kapler are just trailblazers here.
I know, right? But the Warriors, 31-10, best defensive rating at home, 103.6, which is marginally better than 2 through 6. All those guys are at a 106. And then when you go to the road and you run that, the Nuggets, offensively, they're not that good. They're 112. But defensively, they're terrible. They're down in the 110s. So, I find this to be fascinating. I don't know how the hell they've had all these road wins, man. But I think these 2 games set the tone. Chase Center is going to be can we think of this, by the way? I'm trying to think of something for tomorrow. And I need your help.
You're asking me to produce your show now?
Yeah. I need a producer. I don't have a producer. So someone actually said
you
today.
Do it all, baby.
Because I wasn't on the 5 a.m. show today. Shout out to Madsen. He was filling in, and he had Spadoni on the board with him. So Spadoni spent playing drops and stuff. And this dude who normally texts in say, "Hey Madsen, why don't you teach Langford to multitask? Because he has no production value to his show."
It's like, tough though.
It is very hard to play.
When I was doing
at the same time.
When I was doing Caboose Pistol, I would always ask Elaine or whoever else was doing the board just to be like play the drops for me because I can't do this both at the same time.
It was tough, man. It was really tough. But I don't want to say that Chase Center is going to be rocking. Like rocking is such a cliche word. Need to come up with something new. Like Chase and electric and rocking. Those are the 2 phrases that everybody uses. It's like Chase Center is going to be electric on Saturday. Chase Center is going to be rocking on Saturday.
Yeah,
I don't say lit. I don't.
No, don't say that. No. Greg says that now. He calls Levi's lit.
Greg calls Levi's lit.
Yeah, Levi's lit because it's alliteration.
I love that
alliteration. Well, the thing about Oracle was you had Roracle. I don't know what to call Chase Center when it gets amped now.
I'm not saying you need to name Chase Center something. Like I'm not saying you need to have a name for it as far as the crowd.
Ernesto says hyphy.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Hyphy, the crowd's going to be hyphy. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, like,
The
they're
crowd's
going
going to be
to
chasing.
They're going to be thriving in Thrive City.
They're going to be chasing. They're going to be chasing.
Oh, man. Yeah. So, I don't know, man. They're going to be chasing. Yeah.
You like that? There you go. For free.
Well, no, that's not good.
Pro bono producer work for
If they're going to be chasing, that means it sounds like they're down in the score. Like, they're going to be
chasing, Steven. Just take it. Gave you a suggestion.
We're not out here chasing wins.
Yeah, that's true.
Shout out Carr.
Steven, we haven't done this in a while, and we did last episode, but it was just kind of a one different thing. Have you seen Klay Thompson's commercial, by the way, the Doritos Flaming Hot?
Yeah, so it's a Flaming Hot Doritos.
Yeah, they look good, and I want to try them, and this will give us some time to figure out when we can do this. Do you want to do wins or wangs for the first round of the NBA playoffs?
Sure.
Let's do it then. Let's just take the play-ins out. I'll take the Charlotte thing off your plate because that was stupid. Let's just who you got winning tomorrow? Just for the sake, we'll assume that they advance.
Who I got winning tomorrow?
It's the Hawks and Cavs and the Pelicans and Clippers.
Yeah. Tomorrow, I think Cleveland can take it to Atlanta. Cleveland showed some fight at the end of that game against the Nets. They got down early in that first quarter by 20 points, and they managed to make it a close game. And I think Jarrett Allen is going to be back. That was my key there, is Jarrett Allen was gone from the Nets. Well, he's going to be back for the Cavs. So I think Jarrett is going to have a big impact in that game. So I'll take Cleveland there, and then I'll take the Clippers over the Pelicans.
I'll take the Clippers as well, but I am going to take the Hawks. Given their playoff run a year ago, I like their odds against the Cavs. But we won't pick that. Let's just assume the 8 seeds go through, whoever they are. It doesn't really matter because we probably think the 1s are going to beat the 8s anyway. So let's do a wins or wangs edition of the NBA playoffs first round. Oh, yes.
So wait, for the entirety of the first round. So we're doing like a series.
A series bet.
Do you want to do like the series records or just who's going to win?
We could do both. We'll see who's closer in the end, but we could say like how many games it's going to take and who we think is going to win the series.
Okay, gotcha.
Like it? Let's do it. All right, sir. Wins or wangs NBA first round edition of the playoffs. It all starts on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. The Jazz travel to Dallas to take on the Dallas Mavericks, most likely without Luka Doncic for most of the series. Ooh, I'm liking this sexy porn music.
You know what it's called?
What's it called?
Feeding the ducks.
Oh, let's feed these ducks, baby. Just come over to the pond. Steven, who you taking? Jazz or Mavs?
I'm going to take the Jazz in 5.
This is too seductive. Keep listening.
Yeah. Hang on. Your internet sucks, by the way.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going.
Am I coming through terrible?
No, you're not. It's just you're coming through it. You're a little delayed here. Hang on. Let's wait for it to come back. You like this?
Yeah, let's go with it. All right, Steven. So, who you got? You take the Jazz in how many games?
5.
I like that as well. I'm going to go Jazz in 5.
Oh, you copier.
I'm sorry. I had that in my mind already. I'm not changing now.
All right, fine.
T-Wolves at the Grizzlies starts at 12:30. Who you got in this series, Steven?
T-Wolves at Grizzlies. Man,
Matt Steinmetz picked the upset.
Yeah, I could see this going 7, but I'll take Memphis. I think Memphis in 7.
Memphis in 7? I like that too. But just to be different, I'll take Memphis in 6.
Don't do it just to be different.
Fine, I'm taking Memphis in 7. So we're tied now. That's fun. All right.
Yeah.
Later that night, we got the Raptors against the 76ers. Steven, who you got in this series? James Harden and Joel Embiid got to do something together.
Yeah, and then you got the Raptors with Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam, and then you got whatever that rookie's name, and the rookie.
You can say their names out loud. You don't have to mumble it.
A rookie whose name's escaping me right now. I wish I could get it off the top of my head. Scotty. Oh God damn it. I can't remember. Scotty Mitchell. I'm gonna take the. I'll take the Sixers in 5.
Sixers in 5. Okay. I'm going to say that this series goes 6, but I do have the 76ers winning.
Okay, Sixers and 6. Love that.
Yeah, it's easy to remember. All right. To be determined who the Heat plays, but regardless, whether it's the Cavs or the Hawks,
Yeah.
I think the Heat are going to win
Yeah.
in, let's see here. If it's the Hawks, if it's between the Cavs, I'll say Heat win in 5.
Okay, Heat in 5. I'll say the Heat sweep whoever they play. The Heat have been
Ooh.
fantastic this year. I think the Heat are going to sweep them.
Just don't have Jimmy Butler get into a fight.
Yeah.
The Nets and the Celtics. These two teams know each other very well, and we'll see what happens with Kyrie Irving going back to Boston. And a year ago, we saw fans throw water bottles at his head. Hopefully, nothing happens. But who you got in this series, Steven?
Just like their seeding, I think the Nets are going to win, and I think they're going to win in 7. The 7 seed Nets winning in 7 against the Celtics.
Damn it, Steven. I was thinking the same exact thing. God damn it.
Yeah, you
Yeah, but I'm going to do it too. I'm going to
'Cause you're
take the
smart.
Nets. I'm going to take the Nets in 7.
It's because you're smart, man.
Hey. Then we got the Bulls and the Bucks. The Bulls, if I remember correctly, have not beaten anybody good this season, or should I say above 500.
Yeah.
And the Bucks are the defending champs. So, Steven, who you got?
I'm gonna go with the Bucks. I might give the Bulls a game, so I'll just say they can put Bucks in 5.
I'm going to say Bucks sweep.
Okay.
And whoever wins, the Clippers or the Pelicans, I think the Suns win in 5.
Oof. Clippers, Pelicans. I think the Clippers are gonna win. Suns in 5. I'll go with the Suns sweep in this one.
Suns sweeping? All right.
Uh,
And then finally, the Warriors against the Nuggets. Steven, I both think we're going to pick the Warriors, unless you think differently.
nah.
You got the Warriors? How many games?
I'll go Warriors in 5. I think they can. I think the Nuggets can steal one in Chase Center. I do, but they're not good at home for whatever reason. So I think it could be a 5-game series.
I'm with Matt Steinmetz. This is going to be fun to watch, where the Warriors are kind of back to their Mark Jackson days. I'm not saying in their playing style, but I'm just saying as far as we don't know what's going to happen. There was always expectations, and this is a brand new team. Despite that, it's Clay, Steph, and Draymond. This might be the toughest playoffs they have ever experienced in the Steve Kerr era. I'm taking the Warriors to win, but it's going to be in 6.
Warriors in 6 is a pretty good. Hey man, on that Denver radio hit, I was like, people love that Warriors in 6. They just love that 6 number. No one wants to be that cocky and say they're going to sweep them. They love the 6 number.
6 is kind of safe. 6 is safe.
I think I took 6 on their. I think I took 6 on their radio show, but I'm going to go Warriors in 5
Yeah.
for the sake of this program.
I want to say during the one playoff run, usually it was 5. The Warriors would either swell that with that one playoff run, they swept everybody with the exception of the Cavs. But Warriors usually win their series in 5 when they were the dominant.
Yeah,
With KD
Yeah.
and everybody.
no doubt. Really looking forward to it though.
I'm looking forward to it as well, sir.
We'll see what
Lastly-
happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll wait and see. But just lastly, real quick, I hate that we always end a show with someone dying. Gilbert Gottfried,
Yeah.
great comedian, hilarious. You would know his voice if you heard it. He was the voice of Aflac. He was the voice of Iago in Aladdin. And it's just sad to hear that he's passed away. But we lost Bob Saget, we lost Norm Macdonald, and now we've lost Gilbert Gottfried within a year. Sad.
Old school comedian, very old school comedian, just like Norm Macdonald. Some people wouldn't get the humor in it, but they were very old school guys, and they were hilarious. But I remember Problem Child, terrible movie, but Gilbert Gottfried played I think he played the. Did he play the orphanage guy who owned the orphanage or something like that? I just remember Gilbert Gottfried in that movie. And then from Aladdin. Whew.
And Louis Anderson. Shout out to Ernie. Louis Anderson passed away.
Ernie
as well.
just carrying the show in the comments section.
He has been. Shout out to Ernie, co-hosting the show with us today.
Yes.
If you want to see something great with Gilbert Gottfried, do you know the aristocrats joke, Steven?
No.
So it's an old school comedian joke, and I won't repeat it on here, even though it's one of my favorite jokes. It's very dirty. It's all contingent on the style in which the comedian wants to tell it. It's a very, very, very well-known joke amongst comedians, and they made a documentary about it. And Gilbert Gottfried is the best to ever do it. He goes into so much graphic detail when he tells the joke. So if you need, if you want some reference to Gilbert Gottfried, his Aristocat, I always say Aristocats because the goddamn Disney movie, the Aristocrats joke by Gilbert Gottfried is very good.
Everybody wants to be a cat.
It's very different. It's very different. It's also hilarious when comedians tell the joke and this very dirty joke, and at the very end they call themselves the Aristocats. Crats. Shit. I fucked it up. Start from the beginning. All right, Steven. We'll be back on Tuesday because the Warriors play Monday, right? If they play Saturday, they're playing Monday, so we won't be on that day.
Correct.
All right, then. We'll be back on Tuesday, and we'll start gearing up for the draft. We'll talk about the NBA playoffs, draft, and a little bit of baseball. So we'll see y'all then. Thanks to Matt Steinmetz for dropping through. Thanks to Ernie. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening. Steven, say what you always say, my friend.
And that's just our opinion, man.